Welcome everyone to a very special episode of CBT, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy with Yuuka Kazami. This is a Touhou fan-made game, and I don't know anything about Touhou, but I was kind of recommended this game. It caught my eye, caught my attention because of the cognitive behavioral therapy aspect of it, and when I checked it out, it seemed like it would be really helpful, useful to not only me, but I think hopefully all of you guys as well. And without further ado, let's just get right into today's episode. You walk along your way to the forest in search for the field of sunflowers. After some time, you come across a sunflower garden. You meet the person you're looking for. Hey, that's as far as you go. I really don't want you stepping on these sunflowers. You'll hurt the poor, tortured souls that live inside them. Haha, just kidding. Mostly. I'm Yuuka Kazami. You must be here for the CBT sessions. I mostly just keep to myself and enjoy the company of flowers all year round. But I figured it can't hurt to learn more about humans and how their mind work. So I picked up a psychology book that half yokai shop owner had laying around in his store. It was there I learned about cognitive behavioral therapy. It seemed pretty useful and I couldn't help but want to share it with a few humans. And here we are. So glad you could make it. Really glad you could make it. Real glad. Anyway, it's so nice of you to join me. The human mind, it's deep and complex. It's amazing. But at the same time, it's quite irrational, downright absurd at some points. Our brains is ultimately trying to protect itself, but sometimes it overreacts to things that aren't really viable threats to our safety and well-being. These irrational thoughts can cause a slew of problems to our mental health. That's where cognitive behavioral therapy comes in. Essentially, cognitive behavioral therapy is using logic-based strategies to help alleviate symptoms of poor mental health. Our problems come from irrationality, so it's only natural that grounding ourselves in logic and reason can help us live better. We can't change how we feel, but we can certainly change how we react. And by changing how we react, we can eventually change how we feel. It becomes a full circle, just like nature itself. Kind of beautiful when you think about it that way. With cognitive behavioral therapy, you can take some steps to finally reclaim your true self. With that said, this is different from simply giving you advice. These are actual activities that you have to try multiple times to see results. But you wouldn't have come all this way to not put at least some effort in, right? It wouldn't be very nice to waste your time here. Or my time. It wouldn't be nice at all. That's it. Let's begin the first lesson. This one is about negative or incorrect thinking. In life, sometimes things do not go our way. Naturally, this is perfectly normal and bound to happen eventually. However, sometimes we think of the worst possible things as a result of when the unexpected occurs. As a result, we may develop certain lines of thinking that are not in line with reality. To combat this, we simply just need to challenge these overblown thoughts with reality. For example, let's say you said hi to a friend you saw across a hall or a street, but oh no, they seemingly completely ignored you. Now tell me, what is the reason for this? Should I answer? Should I not? Usually, if this happens to me, I feel... Yeah, the first feeling is that, oh no, they're ignoring me. But when I think about it more rationally, it's probably because they didn't notice me at all. Because I do that all the time. People walk in front of me and I don't even realize it. And other people have to tell me that. Because I ignored someone I didn't mean to ignore. Which sucks. Anyway, what usually comes to your mind when something like this happens? My friend hates me? No, my friend was mad at me over something I did. I must be dumb, stupid, and ugly. None of these. But more realistically, it's gonna be either one or two for me. I might go with number too. It's common to think that at first glance. Well, as you have just demonstrated, it's easy to jump to a conclusion and think it must be our fault when something like this happens. However, this is mostly an emotional side talking to us this way. We have not yet challenged it with logic. Now, I will demonstrate some more logical grounds as to why your friend might have ignored you. They could have been busy with something that took up all of their attention. This is me, except it happens even when I'm not doing anything particularly attention-heavy. They thought it was a stranger calling someone else. This is also me. When I see someone say hi to me, I start to think, no, they're not saying hi to me, right? They're saying hi to someone behind me. And then I get surprised if you're saying hi to me. They could have been dealing with something serious and your voice was drowned out. They simply didn't hear you. See? Isn't that better? These are all very true, very real, and more often than not, that is always gonna be the case than the more negative thoughts that we initially start off having. But I think it's not wrong or invalid to have those thoughts because it's just how you feel at the moment. But it's more important to, after hearing about that, your negative thoughts, to realize that, hey, maybe it's not me. Sometimes other people are just preoccupied and they don't realize. And it happens a lot. Don't you find it much more likely that they just didn't hear you than them hating you over something you're not even sure would have made them upset? Next time you think of such negative thoughts, try to counter it with logic. Instead of thinking, they walked past me because they hate me, try something much more logical such as, they were probably busy with something and simply didn't hear me. Of course, it doesn't apply to just friends, it can apply to anything. For instance, I myself don't particularly have any close friends, but I still worry about some things. When I go flower gazing, a thought will pop in my head. I'll think, oh no, what if someone interrupts my gazing and ruins the flowers I enjoy so much? And then I go, don't worry, the moment he so much as creases these flowers, I'll slowly turn him inside out with my pinky finger and make his family watch. Now, this was one of the things that I saw in a review where it's kind of a meme kind of game, but I do think that there are some important points that we can take away. But this part, well, I will admit, sometimes I do have these intrusive thoughts, but surely I won't act on them, right? And I just feel so much better afterwards. Oh, but such a thing doesn't relate to you. Here's one. Let's say you want to go to the doctor, but you're scared of needles and don't want to get seriously injured. Once again, just challenge it with logic. Counter it with something like, she's a trained professional who has done this countless times. The chances of anything going seriously wrong are extremely low. Now I hope you get the general idea. Overall, if you get any negative thoughts that are causing you unease, be sure to try and challenge them with logic-based thoughts. Oh, I wouldn't try to have grand arguments with yourself in your head. Just simply address the thoughts. And remember, you don't have to entirely believe what you counter it with. The important thing is to just respond in an appropriate manner. Well, that concludes our first lesson. Now on to the next lesson. Okay. This one is about thought journals. Ooh. Thought journals are the use of writing down your negative feelings and identifying patterns of harmful and often illogical thinking, then challenging those lines of thinking with more helpful, balanced, and logical thoughts. First, you write out what exactly is causing you distress and why. Well, if anyone would like to follow along with Yuuka here, please feel free to do so. Take out a pen and a paper and write it down. Any feelings that you're feeling, I myself will probably go over this as I'm editing this video and write down my irrational thoughts, and hopefully we all can combat these harmful thoughts. Be as specific as you can, write down what you're feeling. You can even note the intensity of how you feel. Then, when you've written it out, identify the portions of irrational thinking present in what you've written. Finally, after you have identified the irrational portions, change them with more healthy, balanced thoughts that are based on logic. It's often easier said than done, right? I myself have very irrational thoughts sometimes, especially when I'm feeling very, very down. And even though I acknowledge it and I accept it, sometimes that irrational part of me still wins over. I can be looking at the most logic-based reasoning for why I feel this way or why people are reacting a certain way to me, yet I still feel like I can't overcome it. But I want to see how this would help me specifically. Maybe I'll try it with what Yuuka says, and I'll look more into cognitive behavioral therapy, because I do think that there is something here, and I do believe that it can be effective. But sometimes habits die hard too, and I hope I can break that bad habit of mine. This is helpful not only because you're challenging your beliefs again, but also because writing down your thoughts allow you to give them a whole new perspective that can help you cope better. This is very true about writing your thoughts down. Writing down your thoughts can really give you a whole new perspective on things that sometimes you don't even realize until you've written it down. You can be saying all sorts of things to yourself in your head, but you won't even realize it until it's all written down and out of your system. So I really think this is a very good advice from Yuuka here. Now, the tricky part is identifying what exactly you wrote down that's irrational. I think it's best if I just give you an example of what a proper thought journal entry looks like. Take a look at this! Ooh, I tailor-made it for a common situation humans face. Oh, I'm so glad there are examples here. Let's learn from it together. What's bothering me? I think my friends actually don't like me and don't want to hang out with me because I'm a depressing person who brings them down. Now, that is a very relatable thought. It's similar to the thoughts I used to have and sometimes still have, but not to that extent. A little different, but I won't tell you what it is. How this makes me feel: sad, depressed, lonely, hopeless. How bad it hurts. 7 out of 10, it hurts pretty bad. Irrational lines of thinking present in this thought. Mind reading. I'm assuming what my friends are thinking about me even though I cannot read their minds. There's no way to know what they're thinking without them actually telling me. Oh, that is actually really true. This is really true. And I think a lot of us... Oh well, I'll speak from my own experience. I think I tend to make assumptions about what other people feel or think about me, and that often is the root cause of a lot of sad feelings. But the truth is that you won't know until you go up and talk to them, and I think that's very true. Communication is very, very important, and I guess what I would do in this situation is to talk to them about it and explain to them why I feel hurt, even though sometimes that communication itself is very, very daunting. Negative assumptions. I am only thinking that my friends don't like me. However, I did not take into account the nice things they have done for me that prove that they do in fact like me. Oh no. This one is also very true, and it's hitting kind of hard right now. Emotional reasoning. I'm only going off this based on feeling alone and not logic. There is no evidence to suggest that my friends secretly despise me. And now Yuuka's text box is kind of blocking the bottom one, but I'll read it out for you guys. What is a more balanced, reasonable thought? My friends wouldn't actually be friends if they didn't like me. I can always ask them if there's anything I do that puts them in the worst mood, or they can just tell me themselves and we can work from there. Also very true. Such good examples from Yuuka. And with that, you should have an understanding of what a thought journal is and how to use it. I think, yes, I'll definitely keep this one in mind, and the next time I feel myself in that situation, I want to use this and see if it helps me. And I hope that all of you guys who, if you are following along, if you are in that position, whether now or in the future or even in the past, to kind of take a little minute, sit down, 5 minutes, I guess, and just write it out and identify these irrational thought patterns. It involves more effort, but can be more helpful. That's generally what you have to put in when it comes to more extensive therapy. On to the final lesson. Oh, final lesson already? This one is called belief experimentation. This one is a step further from what you've learned so far. This is one of the most powerful CBT strategy you can learn. As the name implies, a belief experiment is when you act out on something that you think may cause you distress and then noting what actually happened when you acted it out. Oh, this is interesting. I've never heard of this one before. Since our negative feelings are not based on reality, acting them out and noting what happened is one of the best ways you can ease troubles. This is because more often than not, what actually transpired doesn't match with what we thought would happen in our minds. Now, to get started, first, start by writing down the experiment you're gonna do that's based on your troubles. Then, write down what you think is going to happen. Oh, okay. I see where this is going. Next, perform your experiment whenever that may be. Then you write down what actually ended up happening, and what you have learned from it. Was it as bad as you thought it was? Was it a positive or negative outcome? Would you be doing this again in the future? Did it ease your troubles? Just like the thought journal, reflection is key. I know, I'll perform a belief experiment myself. I already finished some of it anyway. Anyway, let's take the thought experiment from the top now, shall we? Experiment. I shall give CBT lessons to a human. Prediction. The human will end up wasting my time because I believe humans to be weak and disappointing. Outcome. Prediction did not come true. The human listened to me attentively, answered every question correctly, exceeded my expectations, and thoroughly entertained me. Reflection. Humans can be a wonderful source of entertainment. I shall hang out with them more. Particularly this human right here. Aw, thank you. Oh, I guess this goes without saying, but when you feel scared or frightened, always remember the happy times in your life. Good memories can save your life, as they say. This is so true. This is very true. Very good advice from Yuuka here, because I do that myself. I keep a list of compliments and nice things people say about me, especially when I feel really, really down or depressed about things, and it reminds me that people I mean, it's true, people don't hate me, but sometimes you get these irrational thoughts, right? And reading those compliments and nice things that people say really, really does help me a lot. And that's why I also really feel that everyone would benefit from keeping a list or a journal of sorts, writing down what people say, nice things that people say about you, of course. Even the simplest thing, really. One time I had someone compliment me on my shoes, and it was really nice because I've never spoken to them before. But I was taken aback by, I guess, the spontaneous kindness, not even kindness, the compliment, because people here tend to be more tend to keep to themselves more, so they don't usually reach out to strangers. And well, yeah, it was nice. It was nice hearing a compliment, and I ended up keeping it in like my book of compliments. And when I'm feeling down, I'll go and look at the compliments to cheer myself up. So that's one example of what I would put in my little compliment book. I really do think it helps, but do whatever makes you comfortable, whatever is easiest for you, more convenient for you, and you are more likely to stick with. Well, that concludes the lessons. Try out whichever method works best for you whenever you need to use it. Make use of what I taught you today. I mean it. That said, I had a really good time today. Thank you. You're free to come back anytime you want if you need a refresher. I do hope to see you soon. I'd better see you soon. Well, take care now. Oh, and the game just ends like this. This is really fast. This was a really fast game. I'll quit. and we're back. We're back to the main menu. I think that CBT with Yuuka Kazami was really... It was useful. It did teach me things that I didn't know before. And sometimes it did say things that I needed to hear. But I didn't appreciate the gun pulling out moment. And I do think that for a game that costed me $1 plus, I feel like there should be a little bit more substance to it than just things that you can find online that anyone can do with a quick search. But still, I think this is a good introduction to people who may not be aware of cognitive behavioral therapy, and for people who are already into Touhou, or I guess Yuuka, to be exposed to something new like this and maybe even help develop healthier thought patterns, because a lot of it really does stem from our own thought patterns and of course childhood. I really love talking about childhood and its impact on you as an individual today. But anyway, this was a good one. Not the best, definitely not the best. It can be a lot better, but I think it's a good jumping off point for a lot of people who don't know what cognitive behavioral therapy is, and it did give me a little bit of insight into it. Anyway, I'm gonna end here for today. I'm gonna do the 3 experiments or 3 methods that Yuuka taught us, and I hope that you guys will also be able to put it into use and let me know which one you ended up using, or if you had similar experiences to mine and how you managed to overcome it with your own method or with Yuuka's method. But anyway, that is all. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's a surprising episode, very short, but I hope you guys enjoyed it nevertheless. And thank you for stopping by. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye-bye and take care. I know, I'll perform a belief experiment myself. I already finished some of it anyway. Here goes. Experiment. I shall give CBT lessons to a human. Prediction. The human will end up wasting my time because I believe humans to be weak and disappointing. Outcome? Well, I guess now is as good as of any time to show you my new spell card. Oh, that scared me. That scared me. Now then, where were we? She's not gonna shoot me, is she? Alright, we were just seeing if you were really wasting my time or not. Let me quiz you on some things we learned today. If you get it right, that means you have indeed been listening and therefore have not been wasting my time, thus proving that humans aren't so bad after all. Now, I feel like there is some Touhou knowledge here that I'm lacking. Does Yuuka hate humans? I don't know. Is it normal for her to pull out a gun on me? I also don't know. Get it wrong, you'll just be confirming what I knew, but that's okay, it doesn't affect me in the slightest. Now, this is one part in a review that I read that some people find to be very distasteful or inappropriate when Yuuka pulls out the gun on you. But at the same time, it also, I think, reflects well on what the experiment is. And, well, I don't appreciate being pulled out, having a gun pointed at me, but it's also not entirely untrue, I guess, with Yuuka pulling up the gun here. But yes, I will be censoring the gun with a pig or something. Now, on to the first question. Let's start with something basic. What does CBT stand for? Oh, this is so easy. Obviously, cognitive behavioral therapy. Good. Now for the next question. What is a cognitive thought journal? When you write about events that's bothering you and find flaws in your line of thoughts, seems to be about it. Very nice. On to the last question. What is a belief experiment? When you act out on what's bothering you and take note of what actually transpired. Yes, this one. Ha ha ha. She's laughing. A lot. Come now, I was never going to hurt you. I just like to have fun and toy around with humans. They're so unique. Sometimes I just mess around them, other times they just turn into fertilizer for the sunflowers. Mostly kidding with that one.